Okay, let's do one more video for the day and then be done. So, um, during the inauguration, Trump announced that he would be changing, or at least on inauguration day. I don't know if it was during his speech. I think it was. He announced that he would be attempting to change the meaning of birthright citizenship in the United States. And this is actually kind of an interesting thing because I've spoken about this in the past and my thoughts on this. About me, I wasn't born in the United States. I am a US citizen by birth. My father was serving in the military overseas. I was born overseas in England. And incidentally, I'm also a UK citizen because of UK's birthright citizenship policies over there. They changed their policies only a few years after I was born, but I still fell into automatically being born in England and being a citizen. But now, I think if I were born there now under the same circumstances, I would still be a citizen because my mother was a UK citizen, and I think that still met their requirements or meets their requirements today. But nonetheless, this isn't about UK. This is about the United States. Um, since I first got turned on to this, probably about 10 years ago, I have been under the assumption that the general understanding of the 14th Amendment as it is applied today is incorrect. Um, Section 1 of the 14th Amendment reads, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any laws which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. Okay, so the key phrase there that I've always held on to is all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. So what does that mean? Well, a lot of people think that it means, well, if you're in the United States, then you're subject to the laws of the United States. As long as you're here, you're subject to the laws. And so they point out that this wouldn't apply to, say, a diplomat who has diplomatic immunity and are generally not subject to the laws of the United States. But I don't think that's what that means. And I think if you go back and read if you go back and look at general understanding of British common law as it was applied to this, I think that what it means is that you don't have an allegiance to another country. So you're not only in the United States, but you are in the United States and you're a participating member of the United States. And this is where I think that there's a lot of confusion. I think that if you are here illegally, then you're not actually subject to the jurisdiction thereof. You're not here as a participating member of the United States. There's a way to immigrate into the United States, and you tried to go around that system. Now, there's a case that a lot of people talk to that kind of settled this, and it is the United States versus Wong Kim Ark in 1898. And basically, in a 6-2 decision in 1898, the U.S. Supreme Court upheld that Wong Kim Ark had acquired U.S. citizenship through birth. Now, basically, his parents were Chinese citizens who immigrated to the United States, and then Wong Kim Ark was born in the United States in San Francisco, and then he went back to China, went to China, and then was denied entry back into the United States. Eventually, the case made it all the way to the Supreme Court, and they upheld that he was a citizen. And a lot of people point to this as, well, see, the Supreme Court said that if you were born in the United States, then you're automatically a citizen. Well, so the thing that people aren't looking at, that I don't know if anybody's bringing this up, but this is my personal thoughts on this. There weren't really immigration laws back then. The major immigration laws that are on the books all started in about 1913. So in 1898, there were a couple immigration laws that applied. But generally speaking, there were no major immigration laws. I think in 1889, 1890, there were some laws that basically said the U.S. isn't going to take in people who are infirmed or, poor health, they have infectious diseases, that kind of stuff. But that's basically it. Oh, I think they included the term lunatics in there too. But that's basically it, right? And I think that was 1889, 1890, something like that. Beyond that, there weren't a whole lot of immigration laws. In fact, at this time, I don't think we were considering Native Americans members of the United States, or citizens of the United States either. Weirdly, I'm not really, I don't remember how all that was playing out, but since they weren't subject to taxation, they weren't members of the United States, or they weren't citizens of the United States either. And then, so I think a lot of people at the time, in 1889, or in 1898, when this case was settled, were looking at the exemptions from being citizens of the United States or being subject to the laws thereof, or the jurisdiction thereof, were people who were born on foreign ships within the territory of the United States, people who were born to a invading army. So an army comes to the United States, and then their people were to have babies or whatever. Those people would not be U.S. citizens. There was a fourth one. Well, Indians or Native Americans. And then there was a fourth one. I wonder if I can find that real quick here. Oh, and diplomats. That's right, diplomats. So if you weren't those people, then you were a citizen. But again, this is in the context that there was no such thing as really as legal immigration back then. For the most part, the way that immigration happened in the United States is you came to America, you settled in America, and then you started participating in America. You started becoming an American. And then your children, the children of immigrants were American because their parents were trying to assimilate and do the American thing. Whereas a lot of people would make the argument that the illegal immigration is more akin to an invading army. Whereas these people are coming to America largely, and I'm not saying all illegal immigrants are here not participating. There are plenty of illegal immigrants who come to America and want to get a job and want to do what's best for their family and just want to take the advantage of the opportunities that exist in America. But again, there are now laws, and those laws are maybe controversial to some. Those laws may be just, those laws may not be just. That's not what this is about. But those laws do exist. And so if you're coming here and you're skirting the law, and you're trying to take advantage of the system, then you can make the argument that that is akin to an invasion, that there are these large groups of people from Haiti and from Nicaragua, Honduras, Colombia, Mexico, whatever. They're coming to the United States and they're skirting our laws, and they're creating their own little enclaves of communities in these little places. And the argument is that those people are not citizens. And I tend to agree with that argument. I tend to agree with that. Or, well, obviously they're not citizens, but they're children. If they have children born here, that they're not citizens. Now, I think if you're an illegal immigrant and you come to America and you have a child with a U.S. citizen, then the child's clearly a U.S. citizen, right? I don't think there's any controversy there. We're talking about when one illegal immigrant has a child with another illegal immigrant. This is a very nuanced situation. I don't think it actually applies to too terribly many people. And I also think that when they implemented, and I think the executive order is this way, is that it would start on children born after this date, say January 1st, 2026, something like that, right? So, people know about this. It's not going to go back and revoke citizenship. If somebody was born today in the United States, it's assumed that they're a U.S. citizen. So let's not go back and revoke people's citizenships and make this retroactive or anything like that. But let's look at changing the law, or at least establishing a precedent so that going forward, this is the situation. I mean, America is the land of opportunity, right? And I understand the argument that everybody should have the same opportunity and all that. But the reality is that if you are the child of a doctor and your parents worked really hard and your parents were rich, whatever, your parents were well off, and you as the child of them, they pass things down to you and you take advantage of those things, right? Well, and if you're the child of a poor person, and you still have every opportunity going forward to build whatever of your whatever you can, but you don't necessarily benefit from all of those other things that the more privileged child did, right? I mean, I think, by countries, that same like logic kind of extends to our country, whereas our forefathers in America built this thing to pass down to future generations of America, but they didn't build this thing necessarily to pass down to future generations of everybody. So everybody has a right to attempt to come to the United States. Like if you have something to offer, there's all kinds of programs, H-1B visa programs and stuff like that, that allow people to come to the United States if you have something to offer. But we can't just let everybody in, because inevitably that's going to be such a drain on the system, and it's going to hurt Americans at a very high level. It's going to just cause a lot of problems. So we have to curb immigration. We also don't know who these people are. Unfortunately, we live in a world where there are a lot of people who are bad people, who want to do bad things. They want to harm people. They want to come in and sexually assault people, or beyond that, or they want to commit acts of violence. Now, I'm not saying that all illegal immigrants, or even most illegal immigrants, are these people. I don't believe that's true, but some are. And so we have to have a process for vetting people. And we can't risk the safety of American families and American citizens in an attempt to not offend some other people who want to come to the United States. We need to put Americans first, ultimately. I mean, it's a job of our government to put Americans first. So I think that this birthright citizenship thing, obviously, is going to get challenged in the courts. I think that was the idea, anyways. Like, no one thought. I don't think President Trump thought he had the ability to just change this. I think that the intent was to sign this executive order to get somebody to challenge it, so that it would go to court, so that it ultimately goes to the Supreme Court, gets looked at, and gets ruled on. And regardless of how this goes, this is a win for President Trump. So if birthright citizenship gets overturned, or not overturned, but like the definition of it gets changed, or at least clarified to where it means X instead of Y, that's obviously a win for President Trump. But I think even if it doesn't, that's a win for President Trump, because President Trump can look at all these people and say, look, I did what I can do. I'm not freaking King Trump. I put this forward. It went to the court. It was shot down. That's not on me. I did my best. And I think that's a win for President Trump. So that's about all I got. If you like this video, please like, subscribe. I'm going to try to continue to do more of these, to try to, give some thoughts on different political topics, and maybe other topics of things that I find interesting. Like I said in a video I made earlier today, I have a lot of free time currently. I don't have to go to work very much. I'm pretty fortunate like that. And so this seems like a way that I can spend my free time and do something that's maybe productive. And I kind of enjoy talking about politics. I wish I can get to a point where I could do discussions with people and all that kind of stuff. But feel free to engage me in the comments. And if there's anything you want me to talk about, I'll talk about it. But that's all I got. Thank you.